The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
I'm kind of going heavy on the recording of podcast sessions.
Sketchy.
Ladies and gentlemen, good folks, these two individuals are two of iHeart's finest joining me today on the podcast. Two individuals that make me jealous of not doing things better when I was younger.
Wow.
But it's good to get them on the pod together today because they have their own podcast, BusyBabes Podcast, which you can find on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and a ton of other platforms, I'm sure. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, two of my favorite people here at iHeartMedia Los Angeles, Hannah and Sid of BusyBabes.
What's up? Woo, woo, woo. Let's go. Let's go. What an introduction. I know. Yes. I'm like emotional. I know.
I could have kept going. I could have really kept going. Hannah and Sid, Hannah Miller, Sydney Nowak, in combination, they formed the podcast duo BusyBabes, as said. And finally, to get them in person at the same damn time is quite an achievement. Because I know it's rare to see you two here in the... Well, Hannah, I know you're in the building, but Sid, you're flying. You're traveling more than the president, it appears.
Yeah, Sydney's Mr. Worldwide.
Right. And Hannah's on her way to becoming pilot Hannah. I've already been paying attention to that. We'll get into that. We're going to get into all that. But Hannah and Sid, just to start off the podcast, thank you two for coming through for the old Omatic and making this happen. I was very excited and even slightly a tad nervous because I just haven't seen you both in so long. And I did my preparation for this episode. As I said, I binged the last 3 episodes of your podcast, BusyBabes. And I got to tell you, since you've moved and started recording the podcast in the green room here at iHeart, it seems like it has elevated your show because you're together. You're doing it on video for the promotional aspect of it, but I think because you two are inside the building together, working as the duo, looking at each other, as opposed to doing it over Zoom, which you started out doing, which is fine. But would you agree that it feels different than it did before?
100%.
Yeah, I would say so. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this is Hannah talking, by the way.
Okay, yeah, because you can't tell us apart.
Right. Well, the general public layman, they're not like me. They're not as evolved as I am in the BusyBabes podcast world. I can now tell you separately, but it took me a while, so you can't hate on them for not being able to tell.
So every time I speak, Hannah speaking,
Sydney speaking. Sometimes I can't even tell us apart. So.
But yeah, the elevated show has gone to a new level. You would agree that being here, doing the show in person, and having guests on and stuff like that, because for me, our podcast started out around the same time. Like, I think yours started right before mine, and I attribute my podcast starting because of you two. It was, and I've said this to you before, but I'm going to reiterate it now because it's been a while. When you started it, I was just like pondering the thought, do I start this? Because it's a commitment, and you want to keep going. And I was like, I don't know. And then I remember I got hit up through Ricardo for the intro for your podcast. And then I heard your podcast. I was like, yep, I think I can do this. Because and I felt like I wasn't alone. You know what I mean? I felt like I can kind of, in a sense, like you were like a safety net, you know, in this weird kind of metaphorical way. Like I felt like I was going into this podcast uncharted territory with 2 other people who haven't done it before. And you guys are a lot young, significantly younger than I am, but still, we were newbies. And now here we are.
And we had significantly less experience within this space, like
100%.
Significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, our idea for the podcast came up while we were sitting in a coffee shop working.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And because I think I've talked about this before, either on our podcast or maybe the last time I was on your podcast, Sketch, and we were just chatting, goofing around, and then I was like, should we start a podcast? And Sydney was like, I guess so. And then I came up with BusyBabes, I think, right then and there.
Yeah. I was going to say, we were like busy then, and we had no idea how much like life was going to hit us in the next couple of years with all the changes that we've had.
Yeah, no, we weren't even that busy then, which is crazy. But I was like, I like how this sounds because merch. I was already thinking merch.
Yeah.
Hannah's really... She's been the pilot, if you will, of our podcast. She's
Pilot Hannah.
Pilot Hannah has really just led us to some great things. She's the one that introduced me to, I think, Ricky, and then to you, Sketch, and then wacko. So Hannah's really just been like piloting this whole thing through and through.
She's like a manager too. You
Yeah.
know? Like she's like your agent because she was the connection to a bunch of people here at iHeart, which also contributed to your podcast launching off the ground. It's not easy to start a podcast. There is challenges, but you seem to have taken on almost like you've been doing it forever. When I listened today, like I said, I binged the last 3 episodes. They're shorter than mine. They're about 30 minutes apiece. I wish they were longer, but in the hour and a half that I spent listening, I was like, wow, they really have excelled in this. Even though you're just being yourselves and you're laughing, you seem to have a solid direction of your podcast. Like you know how to bring it back to the topic and then to let loose a little bit and then come back. And it's really funny. I mean, all the little isms you guys do, like when you shorten things and you're like, T, and I don't know what it means. I have to Google half of the, I find it very entertaining as a producer, as a podcaster. I think what you're doing is really great. And I want to point out that BusyBabes, I just contently nicknamed you both the Slay Sisters.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're the Slay Sisters now. I myself am the opposite of Slay. I am unslay. What is the opposite of Slay, Sydney? Hannah?
I was going to say, that's a Hannah term. She keeps me hip.
Oh, gosh. I'm like, I know nothing but slay.
Wait, is it skibbity? I'm like, is this...
I'm sorry, what was that?
Isn't that what the kids say when something is like the opposite of slay?
Skibbity?
Or bad?
Skibbity doo-wop?
No, it's a thing the kids say. Okay, we'll have to look it up afterwards.
All right.
Well, might not be using
slipping
this word
back
right.
from Gen Z to
Look,
something
guys,
else.
Honestly, I had to look up what the newfangled terms are for this generation because I have seen kids using terms that I'm like, what does Ohio mean? What does Riz mean? These are terms that kids are using, and now I feel old.
What about ion? You know ion, right?
No.
Ion?
So like, which is spelled I-O-N, which is a scientifical particle term, ion, right?
Okay.
I-O-N. But in Urban Dictionary, I don't know if Sydney's going to come through. I don't know is ion.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's a step too far.
Yeah. How do you feel about ion?
I need flashcards for these. Like
I don't think I can picture myself. Well, actually, I don't want to speak too soon. You might catch me going ion.
I hope so. It sounded good coming out of you right
They
now.
always start as jokes that like I used to jokingly be like, oh, slay. And then now because she says it, I say it. And it's now become part of my vocabulary.
Yeah, you both are really the influencers and creators of slay to me. I've heard slay from other people, I guess, in the same age bracket as you two, but not as said as so eloquently. Almost on every podcast that you guys put out, and it doesn't get old. It's like your staple. That's your term now. I know that it's a big term, and everybody uses it, especially the Zennies and the Lennies. You know, they're the younger generation. I don't say slay until I'm talking to you two, and that's the only time it's appropriate to say slay. Now, I want to ask about the podcast. I listened and am in shock and awe in a good way. You both have monetized this podcast in full stop sets. I mean, you know what the term stop set is, right? Commercial breaks.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, don't get me wrong, people listening that haven't listened to BusyBabes, BusyBabes spelled together as one word, not with a space, right? That's the proper,
Correct.
grammatically correct spelling of it. So BusyBabes monetize their podcast. I don't have a sponsor. I don't have ads. Nobody wants to sponsor the Old-O-Matic. Not at all. It's not a good... Everybody would be running for the hills in the opposite direction. You two have somehow monetized it early on, and you're running like Joe Rogan stop sets.
Are we?
Before, during, and after. And here's the thing. They're not hokey commercials. These are like solid client ads. And I'm like, bro, what? I'm kind of jealous. How did you do that? Please enlighten me, edify me.
I can speak to that a little bit. We actually, I don't know if you've noticed, have the iHeartMedia icon in the very bottom of our photo now. Like our, what is it? Oh my gosh, I'm
Cover
totally
photo.
blanking. Thank you. Cover photo. And now that we are under the iHeart family, we get to have iHeart ads running on our
So you two,
podcast.
BusyBabes is officially signed to iHeart Podcasts now.
Yes, I
Yes.
think that's how you would correctly
Did you guys
say
have
it.
to sign a contract or, sign on the dotted line, or was it a verbal agreement? I'm just curious how, for myself and other people starting pods, how does that even transpire? Obviously, you two work for iHeart, so you have the foot in before other people. But let's say somebody who's not at iHeart wants to be on iHeartRadio podcasts and they want to monetize like you two. How does that work?
There are different buckets in iHeart, the different types of podcasts. There's the iHeart podcast, and you have Premiere, and then you have the markets like Kiss FM. And so there's different podcasts underneath those buckets. Our podcast is under Premiere. And I don't know, Sydney.
Yeah, I can elaborate.
Yeah, do you want to elaborate on that one?
So there was a work event that I was at, and just talking to some of our fellow iHeart coworkers, we had mentioned that it got brought up that Hannah and I had a podcast, and they were like, is it under the iHeart family? And we're like, no, not at this time. And so that person that we were in contact with was like, let me help you. Here's a person you need to reach out to. We'd love to have you as part of like the iHeart family and get you up on our network. And we were like, oh my gosh, yes, okay, that sounds amazing. So I can't really speak to how other people could get on the network.
They don't have the Rolodex, as they used to say, as you two.
But I have heard that there are different ways that you can get your podcast like pitched to iHeart. It's through a link that we'll have to like research, but there's different ways that you can be associated with it, and it's evolved since we first started the podcast.
Yeah, and that's back to the different buckets. So your podcast will get grouped under one of those buckets, whether that be market, iHeart Podcasts, or Premiere. So that's kind of how that worked for us.
And we've done our own self-promotion commercials lately.
Yeah.
Both for broadcast and the podcast network slates.
The ones on IG, or they're running on other podcasts as ads?
I believe, and Hannah, please correct me, I believe other podcasts and different like broadcast somewhere were plugged somewhere within the system.
That is dope. I mean, it's just dope that you're doing all that. Essentially, as only like, I don't know how many episodes, you don't number the episodes, you just title them, which is something else I want to get into. The titles of your podcasts are great. Like, they're really, I think they're just well thought out, and yet they're probably they just come to you like witty comebacks a comedian would have. I feel like you two with the slay and the isms of all the, millennial talk, you apply that to your titles, which is also something I think that other podcasts don't really have, to me. And maybe it's because I know you, but I'm not blowing smoke. When I see good creative marketing and or just creative thinking, it really it makes me step back and go, man, they're doing the right thing. This is dope. So
I attribute that to Sydney, because when we were first starting the podcast, I was the one who was thinking more generic title, right? It's like episode 1, and then here are all the things that we talk about, which that's pretty normal.
Right.
And then Sydney was saying to me, like, we should do something more creative. And so she really kicked that. She was the Kickstarter of that creative front. And so I've just kind of run with it.
Let me just quickly go to your Spotify, because that's what I don't listen on the iHeartRadio app. I know I should. I'm like a traitor, but I just had it already set up. They're already lined up in my library and where I left off. But let's just go back to the last 3 episodes, just as a refresher. It's giving slay. Brilliant. The Babes discuss trending catchphrases and answer listener questions in their new segment, BusyBabes Hotline, which is another thing I want to get into. Then you got 26, flirty and thriving, 6 in parentheses. Turbulent coffee catch-up, because you guys are actually drinking coffee and catching up. And it works. It almost sound like stand-up specials on Netflix.
Ooh.
The titles
I like
of
that.
them, right?
And I will say the last, I don't know how many podcast titles that we've had, and the descriptions are all Hannah. She has been like totally running everything on her own. I've been MIA except for when we're recording. So kudos to you. Those were killer.
But I can't do it without you, though, because Sydney is very creative, and you help a lot too. Like while we're recording, I sometimes I'm like, I don't know what direction we should take this, and you're like, I know, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
You keep me grounded.
Sydney's kind of the brains on certain, but you both share that obligation. I think you bounce off each other well. Not only do you sound identical to a degree, tonally, as you would say, but there's also like you complement each other's thinking. It reminds me of like Big Boy and Jason. I always talk about them, but they have a chemistry that is hard to find. And I think you both share that chemistry where it's like you almost finish each other's thoughts without saying anything telepathically. But also, in regards to the commercials, real quick before we move on, do you get to pick and choose which commercials run on your podcast?
I don't think we pick the specific commercials. We got to fill out a survey where we said what we don't want to have running on our podcast, so different topics. I think that's as broad as it.
That's about as much control as you get over it.
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay, well, that's very enlightening. Maybe I can get that link from you later.
Yes.
How to set up a monetization. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care. I do this podcast for free, but it is interesting how it came about. So thank you for sharing that. The show titles. Okay, so I got some games and stuff, or a game that I want to play in a little bit, but we'll get to that later. In regards to the BusyBabes hotline and the talkback, that's only in the iHeartRadio app feature. Is that the only place you can do that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
What's the response been like?
It's been decent. We also will pose questions on Instagram, though. Get a little bit more traction on Instagram, but we do endorse the talkback feature on the app.
And you can hear them.
Yeah.
It's almost like a phone call, leaving a message or a voicemail.
Yeah.
The voicemail.
It's really cool because you can hear the person that you're interacting with, where instead of like reading the voice in your head, if you like read something off of Instagram, you can actually hear the way that someone's asking the question. So it also could change the way you want to respond or the way that they're asking the question based on where they give the inflection.
I love how you just worded that. That was so Sydney Nowak, iHeartMedia corporate response.
Well, it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're really good at that stuff. I would like to ask both of you in regards to just the youth of you both. I know that, Sydney, who just turned 27?
Me.
You just turned 27.
Yes.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank
I don't
you.
know. Did I wish you a happy birthday on IG? I don't
I
remember.
believe so.
Okay, well, just in case, podcast publicly, happy belated birthday. I'm going to play
Thank
the
you.
50 Cent Happy Birthday song remix by DJ Gusto just as a shout out to you. And then Hannah, when's your birthday coming up? Coming up?
It passed February.
Oh, okay. So at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
you'll get a double play of the 50 Cent Happy Birthday song. That's what we do here on the Sketcho Show podcast. We celebrate birthdays year round.
Love it.
Okay. Let me just check my notes here. I have quite a bit to talk about.
It's my birthday too.
Oh, the hotline. I was going to ask. Parker, your significant other, Sydney,
Yes.
but left a talkback message. Did he disguise his voice? Because on your episode, you said that he was one of the people that did it, but he did it in a clever way. How did he do that?
Well, the talkback feature doesn't disclose the person, so it's like an anonymous feature, but I could tell it was his voice. He has like a very distinctive voice too. So I like knew exactly who it was, and he was like kind of like, "Hey, I just want to know like the Sydney girl, like what would I do to like take her out on a perfect date?" And I'm like, "Okay." Obviously, it's your voice, and it's like you can't disguise it.
Did he admit it that it was him?
He actually asked me if I checked the talkback feature.
Oh,
so.
that was a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Dead giveaway.
Yeah.
See, I want to do one, but I'm going to disguise it like as a British guy.
Oh my gosh!
Hello,
put it
busy
through-
babes.
Put it through a voice thing and then record it through the talkback.
And
Yeah,
then maybe
that'd
be
be
like
cool.
one of those, like when you see on like those like shows like FBI files, and they like have like an anonymous guy. It's like, hello, I want to do a Busy Babes question, and I'll pitch my
voice.
voice down, and I'm like, so what does it take to take one of you out on a fancy date and whatnot? I know you both are taken, but no,
That would
just
be
kidding.
funny,
No.
though.
Right? Anyway, this is me just being flirty, sketchy. Okay. Sketchy. This is something I want to ask you about, and this might be an uncomfortable topic. Okay.
Okay.
But, I mean, we all do it. We all live it. We live around other people who do it. But I don't have a significant other. Mm-hmm. No girlfriend. I'm solo-matic. I believe I am an unslayable, undateable human being. However, you two are locked in. Sydney's got a relationship. Hannah, you've been married since forever. How do you feel and your significant other feel about farting? And do you fart in front of each other, or do you talk about farting at all? What say you?
I'm going to have Hannah answer this first because I'm so interested to hear her answer.
Oh my God.
I don't think you've covered this on your podcast.
No, this is amazing.
Yes, this is a Sketcho Show BusyBabes podcast farting exclusive.
Well, the thing is, Simon and I have been together for, I think, a decade at this point. Not been married a decade.
But you've known each other since children.
Basically,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, in the beginning, it's so weird to talk about, but no, actually, recently, Simon said to me, he was like, you've become so vulnerable recently. Just because we're like elderly people now living together.
You let loose?
Him more than me, but yeah, a little bit. A
little Simon Squeaker?
I'm telling you, I don't love it.
No, nobody does. But it is funny though, right? I mean, come on. Farting is hilarious. Especially, I'm just going to put this out there. When women do it, I think it's more embarrassing because women are so, they're expected to be a certain way, even though that doesn't really exist anymore. For the most part, I feel like women try to refrain from that because obviously they're women. You're women. But men, we're just disgusting creatures to a degree, and we can kind of get away with it being hairy and stinky and sweaty and farty. But being married, you have to at some point, right? It has to come out. And Sydney, you've been with Parker for a minute. You two are about to get married. I already know this. But the farting thing, I feel like, when is it appropriate to fart in front of your significant other? At what point? How many years?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. I think it depends on the couple because there are some couples who really just don't give a flying fig and they'll just do whatever in that first few months of dating. I've always been more sensitive to the topic, so it's taken a while for me to actually be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But Simon, as of recent, especially recent,
yeah,
lets loose.
He lets loose. He's on fire. Sydney, we'll go ahead.
I want to hear what you're going to say.
I grew up in a family that is always farts are funny, no matter what.
Yeah.
Just farts are funny. So my dad and my brother have really just kickstarted that mentality from the get-go. And I like to say that my dad basically raised me as if I was another son until I was 11. I did BMX and motocross and all the boy things. So
You're
I was
tomboy,
always
Sydney, sort of.
Yep, exactly. Oh my gosh, you should see old photos. They're hilarious. But yeah, they were always funny. They'll always be funny.
And then what about in front of your significant other, in front of Parker? Has it happened yet?
Oh yes.
Him or you?
Him.
Not you. Not yet.
No, it's a mutual
maybe,
thing.
but and your sleep doesn't count either. That doesn't count. It has to be conscious and aware. Even if it slips out and you two laugh at it. That's happened when I had a girlfriend at one point. I remember it slipped out and she felt embarrassed, but I comforted her.
No, he's a boy's boy, and I would have to say it was in the first 2 months of us
really?
dating. Oh yeah, no, he had no shame.
And does farting when it's a man farting in front of a new prospect of a relationship, the woman, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys are still getting to know each other, and the guy farts, does that change your perspective of him and being with him?
If it was a guy I wasn't into, I would be like, time and place.
The ick.
Yeah, I know. I'm that sounds so bad, but I don't know. I can't remember when the first time was because I feel like it's been nonstop ever since. But
you're it's so often.
It's literally every day of my life.
Nice.
No, I don't know. If someone else that I wasn't into did it and it was not the right time,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
and
out.
It was real rank.
It would be weird. It would be weird.
It made your eyes cry. You were emotional from it.
Yeah.
Right?
If it was a problem, then I don't know, you're not the one.
It is the perfect reason to be listen, I mean, you're cool and all, but bro, you need to go to the doctor.
It's a natural part of life. Every relationship before Parker, I would say I was very oh my gosh, no. But they were also very, private about their flatulence.
I like that you use that word.
Yes, and I love that I'm here with BusyBabes duo talking about farting on my podcast. You know that I've been waiting to ask this question to people like yourself who have significant others, and I just haven't had the cojones yet to do it. And I wrote it in my notes, and I'm all, I don't know, I put a little asterisk next to it, maybe have to take the temperature first. And I felt like you two were open enough to answer, so thank you. I mean, I know it's not a comfortable topic, but it needs to be talked about, and not enough podcasts do.
I have a question for you, Sketch.
Oh, please.
Are you surprised about our answers? What was your expectation of the answers here?
Honestly, I didn't have any. I don't know. I honestly don't have any expectations other than what you said, which was honest. And I knew you would be able to, both of you would be able to word it in a way that's so professionally, like, eloquent. Me, I imagine, as I was thinking of this question, I'm not going to lie, I farted at the house, right? I'm at the house and I'm like cleaning up and one kind of slipped out. And then I thought to myself, what if I was in a meeting at iHeart, in one of these big sales meetings or the meetings that you two go to with like LeGret and all that shit, right? And then I feel like I would be that guy who's just like in the corner and everybody's like, oh, come on, Sketch. And like they kick me out. And that's like how I leave the meetings, is I just fart ridiculously. That's my childish, immature brain. And this is probably why I don't work in the building. They're like, this is exactly why we keep your ass at home, Sketch, okay?
Just look left and right and just like, who was that? Who did that?
I like to
Wasn't
claim
me.
ownership. I do. I'm a claim ownership kind of. I'm like, sorry. You know what I mean? Like one of those. Yeah,
Raise your hand. That was me.
I will see myself out. Thank you.
I can do it again. You know, in one of those. Like you threaten with another one, you lift up a little bit. No. Brutal. Oh, what a conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sketcho Show podcast exclusive of farting has now concluded. Okay, let's move on to the family aspect. Talking on your last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago, Hannah, you're talking about possibly starting a family.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, this is a big subject. I was like, whoa. Even I was at the house and rewound a little bit. I was like, wait, who said that?
That caught me off guard too.
Yeah, Hannah Miller, starting a family. Been with your man
All right.
forever.
Everyone needs to calm down.
Yeah?
Never.
This is a big deal. I'm telling you, I'm really...
Nothing's happening right now. It's just an idea. You have to kind of speak it into existence. You know, when you're married, we've been married for over 3 years now. So it's like,
Congratulations.
Thank you. I had to think about that for a second. I couldn't remember. But yeah, it doesn't mean like soon, but
no,
maybe.
you said a few years. You said
Did
a few
I?
years. Yeah.
Okay,
in
yeah.
the thing, and you were like, and then you said by like 28, and then Sydney's all, the year?
Yeah, that's right.
See? For somebody who smokes a lot of weed, I have a good memory.
I have a great memory.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's
I have a memory of a goldfish.
I think I have that too most days. But when it comes to things I really am intrigued about, such as this, I remember for sure. So, but starting a family is such a big deal, you know, and I immediately get like, how do I say this? I get like clinchy about it, to be honest. I get clinchy when I hear people that are going to start a family. I get worried and concerned, like it's me who's having to be involved. And I'm just listening. I was just listening to your podcast, getting clinchy about it, but not in a bad way. It's just like, you know, even though you and Simon have been together for so long and you're comfortable farting in front of each other now, and you're ready to, you already have a dog, right? Mm-hmm. That's right. You have Kona and you have Sage. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, anyway, I'm really proud of myself today, guys. And the Celsius is kicking in. But the family thing. Boy, girl, which one first and why in that order?
Oh boy. Here's what's weird. I guess I don't care which, but I probably would. I would love a boy, but I already have a girl name picked out.
What is it? Can we hear it? Exclusive.
Exclusive.
No?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep that one to myself. But it's weird because I would love a boy, but I definitely am like really set on a girl name.
What about picking a boy name? Let's Sydney and I are going to help you pick a boy name.
Oh my gosh.
Right now. You go first, Sid.
Oh.
What do you got? It doesn't have to. This isn't for real. This is just for fun.
What comes to the top of my mind is Liam.
Ooh, that's
Hemsworth.
Ooh.
Is that because I told you he was my celebrity crush?
I don't know why, but Liam just came to my brain. That was the first boy name.
It's a good name.
I feel like nobody ever names their kids Howard anymore. Howard Miller. Oh, wait. Jaeger, right? That's technically.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Technically
Jaeger, but.
Jaeger.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
I said Jaeger like the drink. My bad.
Same thing. No, for a while, Simon was like, can we please name our son Bob?
Robert or just Bob?
Bob.
Like Bob.
And I said, I don't know about that.
Can we sit Simon down about that one?
What about Larry? No, I mean, people who name their children, when you meet an older receding hairline guy like myself and his name is Larry for real in real life, I'm like, that fits. But at some point, the baby came out, and what are you going to name it? Larry? Is it Lawrence? Or is it just Larry? Like Bob. Usually that's Robert, right?
It's not Robert. He's not interested
not
in
in
Robert.
that. Not at all.
Just Bob. So
the other question,
I don't know.
And names-wise, the other weird thing that just popped into my head is, how do you get Dick from Richard? You notice this? Where does that come from?
I've thought about that too.
Should we Google that real quick?
I think we should Google that.
Let me just give it a
it's
Goog.
it's worth a look.
Let me give it a slay Goog real quick. I'm trying to talk like you.
Slay Goog.
Yeah, slay Goog. Where does Dick come from Richard? All right. The nickname Dick for Richard likely originated in the Middle Ages as rhyming slang for Rick, another nickname for Richard that's still used today. The nickname was chosen by rhyming names and nicknames that were popular at the time. Other nicknames for Richard include Richie, Dickin, Dickie, Rich, Rico, and Ricky.
I think Dickie's kind of cute, though.
Dickie is good.
Dickie's cute.
Like Lil Dicky. Like Dave Bird, the rapper with the show, right?
Yeah.
I did like that show.
That's a good one.
Show.
Dickie Jager. What?
Oh, his nickname could be DJ.
That we're getting somewhere now,
Okay.
ladies.
We're cooking.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What say you, Hannah?
I don't know. I struggle. There's a lot of names that I like.
What do you like?
I like unique names. I thought about Beckham at one point. Like David Beckham,
Yeah.
but Beckham.
That's a good one.
But I think some influencer named her son Beckham the other day, and I was like, ugh, okay, not as unique as
What about one of
thought.
those Nick Cannon names? Like where he names his kids, like one of his daughter's names, like Powerful Queen. Would you ever name your kid like a title?
Strong man?
Yeah.
No, no, definitely not.
Not that. Not your brand.
No, I'm really set on the Beckham family. Like Brooklyn. Brooklyn, I thought would be a cool name.
You know what I like is names that start with the same letter as the last name, right?
Ooh.
So like Steve Saxon. There's actually a term for that. There's an actual term that they call that, Andy Anderson or whatever. That's too similar, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A name Jaeger would have to start a name with a Y. What do you think would work?
It'd be a J.
A J, I'm sorry. I keep saying Jaeger.
I know. Well, it would be pronounced Jaeger because there's what is it, like little two dots.
Right.
The
The
A
accent,
is, yes,
right?
the accent, which
So
makes it
Jaeger.
German.
So Jason Jaeger.
I know, but Jason's just so common.
It is, right? Yeah.
So I got to really think about it.
Joaquin.
That's a good one. But then I think of Joaquin Phoenix, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Joker. Everybody would be calling him Joker
Yeah,
by
no,
3 years
that's
old.
not a vibe,
Not a
so,
vibe? See,
no.
that's another one right there.
Yeah.
That's not a vibe. I just love it. I love the isms. All right. Sydney, anything else to add to the names?
No.
What
I just
about
got
you?
caught on Joker Jager.
Joker Jager. That's it right there.
I'm like, winner.
Sydney,
Yes.
with your relationship and being with such a cool dude like Parker who rides motorbikes and does all kinds of cool manly things and stuff, and you guys click, chemistry is off the chains. What's going down with the next step in this relationship? I know that you've said you want to gain some more independence and work and live your career and just live more life, right? Which is totally fine. How are you feeling on taking that next step, and how does Parker feel? Can we talk about that, or is that too personal?
No, that's not too personal at all. We talk about it all the time. Yeah. I mean, it's something that we totally want. We're just waiting for the right time to do it together. That's right in both of our lives. So we're just super happy, and we get along like really well. Our whole families get along. My brother and his girlfriend, and we get along like we can all hang out like we're all best buds. So it's just this really nice little place of like feeling like family already. So we're just excited for whenever that next step comes in our lives.
I wonder when he's going to propose to you.
Dude, me too.
Do you want him to propose to you? Even if you don't get married right away, just to the proposal, get it out of the way. Your family's already locked in. You know what I mean? Like you do things together. Like I see you guys doing stuff together. It's not just like you guys work and then you're a couple. You share the same interests and camping and going outdoors and slaying bears and shit like that. I mean, it's wild. And it's hard to find that. You didn't meet on any apps. She was with Simon since birth. You told me how you guys met, but I don't exactly recall. Can you refresh my memory?
Yeah, he was the coffee shop manager at this coffee shop that I'd go to after the gym. Oh. So we met there, and he was just one of the coolest people, and he always made my day so much better. We'd have conversations, and I would just ask him about his life, what he's up to, and I'd bring people to go see him because he made really good coffee too. And then that's kind of how it evolved, and we became friends after running into each other at an event that we both enjoyed going to. And I was like, "Hey, you're here too?" And he's like, "Yeah." And we swapped numbers, meet up later, and then we found each other on Instagram, and we're just casual friends until we hung out, and then we're like, this could be a little more serious. I was single at the time, he was single at the time, so the timing just worked out.
I swear, man, it's like a rarity. I feel like both of you, your relationships in a lot of ways are stronger than some marriages that I know. Aww. And that's real talk of older people. So in so many ways too, it's weird that you two came together, you found each other in the pod world and as friends and colleagues and whatnot, but you both share this kind of older soul type of thing. Do you believe in that? I feel like both of you haven't, I don't know. It's not that you haven't experienced enough of life struggles, but I also feel like you have in another life or something like that because of the way it doesn't appear. And I don't know both of you that well. We know each other. We're friends, but we don't go and hang out, and we don't go camping and shit. I've never had a conversation with either of you on the phone and spilled my guts or anything like that. But we have a good mutual respect for each other. And to me, what I see on the surface is other people that I know that are your ages have been through a lot of traumatic shit. And there's a saying that hurt people. And a lot of those, including myself, when I was that age, I was just an angry guy, just angry at the world. And I'm 46 now, and I'm still angry at the world, but I know how to maintain it. Mm-hmm. You two don't, you're the exact opposite of everything that I am and was at your age. And yet you are working in iHeartMedia corporate side, which is a beast. But Hannah, you're an executive assistant and project manager with the great Kevin Legret, right? Are you still working with him or
Greg
no?
Ashlock.
Greg Ashlock as well. Is it both of them still, or is it more Greg now?
It's both of them, but I primarily project manage for Greg and the Influencer Network.
So the reason I bring this up, you guys, is because you have to maintain a certain type of cool at all times in that world. I myself am not capable of doing that. I'll be honest. And it's not that it's a bad thing. I just feel like I'm better suited where I'm at. That's my lane. And they know it, I know it, and I know that they know it. And that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. But you both are able to ride both sides. You're doing podcasting, you're intermingling with artists and going out to events, Sydney, as well as you, Hannah. You don't travel as much as Sydney, but still, you're in the mix. You're in the sauce, you know what I mean? With artists and at concerts and events, but more of the corporate side. And I just really trip out on how good you guys are at speaking. Eloquently.
Thank you.
And very,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, corporate How do you do that? How did you learn how to do that, Sydney and Hannah as well?
Yeah. I'll let you take this first, Hannah.
When I first started here, I knew nothing. I didn't know how to. You kind of just pick up on the lingo. You're on so many email chains, and everyone kind of talks the same way. And after a while, you pick up on it, and then you notice that you start kind of like how we have our isms, right? That we say, and then people pick up on that, like slay. Mm-hmm. Same as with corporate language. I think you just pick up on just the various phrases.
Yeah, because your emails, even today with me, with the confirmation email, it was so I'm like, man, why don't I write like that? I can't even write. I try to copy people and it doesn't sound right. And I have to say something sarcastic in there in some way, shape, or form, which never goes over well. Sydney?
I was going to say, I also didn't really have much experience, quote unquote, speaking corporate until I started working here. And then that's really where this is my first big girl job experience, I would say. Yeah. So that's what we've learned, and that's all we've learned. And sometimes I feel like it translates to my personal life, and then people are like, why are you so corporate sometimes? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just all I know. And now it's ingrained within me and I can't shake it.
You ride it well. I think you wear the corporate suits well.
Thank you.
Metaphorically speaking. I try to do that. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it's better if I'm just myself, in emails. Obviously, I can turn it up when it's a client involved who doesn't work here. Then you have to really be on your P's and Q's, and, everything has to be spelled correctly, and there's a comma. It's almost like you're in court, you know? But luckily, I don't have to deal with outside people, really. I just deal with the AEs, and that's pretty much it. That's, big boy, but I hardly ever have to talk to anybody at all. It's just like I kind of have it made in the shade in that aspect, but at the same time, I'd like to learn more, and I feel like listening to your guys' podcast has taught me a lot. To be honest, it has, and you guys are so youthful and vibrant, and it's like I feel like your podcast, as new as it is, it's also underrated because not that many people know about it yet, right? It's still new. It should be listened to more, and I feel like you have a lot to teach people even at your young age because you've experienced so much already. Let's get into some other stuff real quick. Okay, so in regards to the traveling, who does the most traveling for iHeartMedia? Sydney, of course, right?
That's definitely Sydney.
I think so. Yeah.
Traveling for iHeartMedia, do they pay for your flights?
Yes.
And travel and hotel and all that stuff?
Yes.
And what do you do on most of these travel events that you go to? What is it that you actually do when you're there?
Yeah. So it ranges from event to event, I would say, but primarily managing any of the B2B industry operations that we do have there. So if we have an executive speaking on site, it would be making sure that they're prepared with the content, make sure they have any of their questions answered, and just, preview the spaces that they're speaking in and work with the partners to ensure that we have a successful delivery.
See what I mean? Like just that right there, non-rehearsed. That delivery was
rolls off the tongue like a haiku.
Spot on.
Well, I mean, it's also, just making sure that everyone on the ground has a point of contact for the iHeart representatives. So I'll go on behalf of our team and just talk to any of the partners and make sure if we're working with an artist or if we have some of our iHeart talent coming in, that their teams also feel comfortable. It's like prepping the stage and prepping the conversation to be an absolute home run when they get up there.
Brilliant. Hannah, the traveling. Do you want to do more traveling like Sydney or even with Sydney, or are you content being under, with Greg and the big cheeses over there? I mean, because they don't travel as much, right? They don't go anywhere other than other states that iHeart's at for iHeart stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they travel a bit, but I always love traveling with Sydney. We always have such a great time.
Yeah.
We've traveled a little bit together. Primarily for the iHeartRadio Music Festival, and we always enjoy that, even though it's a short trip.
Never just a personal trip between you two.
We're planning on it actually.
Right?
Yeah.
Where are you going to go? What's the big
where are we gonna
travel
go, Sydney?
spot?
We've talked about it. We talked about Hawaii one time.
Yes. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. We've also talked about Napa or NorCal to go visit one of our friends that used to work in not promotions. Kristen.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh, Kristen
Batista.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I heard that podcast. That was a good one. But yes, traveling outside of California, that's the move. I think Hawaii is the move.
It'd be such a dream.
5
I want to go to
hours
Hawaii
over.
so bad.
Have you guys ever
I've been? It was so long ago, but yeah.
It's amazing.
It's wild out there, right? And it's crazy that that's still the United States.
I know.
I just want a good pina colada.
Or you know what they have?
I know, and sit by the pool and I know.
They have this one drink called lava flow or lava melt. Is it lava flow or lava melt?
Lava flow.
Lava flow.
Because it's a pina colada with strawberry.
I don't drink anymore, but when I did, I went out there for Jason Ryan's wedding way, way back. You guys were probably like little girls. Maybe you weren't even born yet, but oh God, it's so crazy to say. But yeah, I was out there and I remember having 3 or 4 of those. One of the best drinks I think I ever had in my life. It was just so good. The taste and the alcohol, the way it came on was just so brilliant. It makes me want to start drinking again. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not going to.
You don't even need alcohol in it. They make the virgin ones.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
sure,
you can get it without alcohol. That's what I used to get as a kid. That's why I like them so much now.
Yeah. No, I love those slushy drinks. Slushy alcoholic drinks are always good. Have you guys been to Miami, to Wet Willie's out there?
I've been to Miami recently, but not to Wet Willie's.
I don't know if Wet Willie's is even still there, but
I just remember they had these really good, I think that's called a Cubano. It's like the really strong espresso with just a ton of sugar.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm addicted to those.
It's like a rocket fuel for sure.
It's incredible.
In regards to the traveling, let's stick on that traveling thing.
Yes.
One of your last episodes, or just the recent episode you put out, you talked about a traveling experience that was shocking.
Incredibly.
And you were shaking and rattling around in the airplane over the French Alps.
It scared me when you were telling me about it.
She saw the fear in my eyes explaining it.
Was it like that? It's like that movie Alive, or about the soccer team that crashed in the French Alps and they had to eat the dead people.
Ate each other.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I cannot hear any more of this.
You ever seen that?
No, I'm never again flying. I like.
Well, that happened a while ago. Yeah, but it's a true story.
Yeah. Oh, even better.
Yeah, but I mean, that reminded me of that. But you were flying to Cannes Film Festival. Was that where you were going?
So the event that we do is in the same place, but like 2 weeks later.
Okay.
It's the Cannes International Festival of Creativity.
Oh, it sounds brilliant.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
But it's where all media and advertisement agencies, corporations, etc. go, and they set up shop down in Cannes, and they're showcasing what they have coming up, they're showcasing what they do well, and they're showcasing the partnerships that they have.
Right.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And again, you being there, you're doing what exactly?
Making sure that we have all of the correct individuals to come speak at our events that are really gonna, they're good partners, and we want to have them speak in our space because they have such brilliant things to say, but also to make sure that the content that we are looking for having at our space is executed well, and making sure everyone feels prepped with what they need, and that if we have any people speaking in other partner spaces, that they feel prepped. And again, we've done the research and information in advance, so we can just take them there and manage those partnerships. Is
the research that you're doing that research, right?
It mostly comes from our go-to-market team. So anything that iHeart as a brand is speaking on behalf, not speaking on behalf of, but wants to put out in the advertising world, what our latest story is, what our core narrative is, we're making sure that story is really showcased and highlighted for what we're doing now and next.
Damn. That's dope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
it's cool.
It's so crazy too, that position you hold, doing that, coordinating. And what's the most challenging part of that? And then I want to get back to the experience in the air, because I'm really curious, and I want to have you do it in a certain way. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think I'm trying to think what the most challenging part is. I think the most challenging part is when you're working with something that is a little bit more live and sometimes on the fly, the perfectionist in me, I'm I think I want everything to go 100% perfect according to plan. So I really almost overthink what we need to do sometimes, just because I want to make sure that everything is, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So I think the most challenging part is understanding that some things you just have to let run its course.
And does everything go according to plan?
I'm knock on wood, but I felt really good about everything.
So far,
that we've done.
so good?
Yeah, so far.
What happens if and when it doesn't? How do you proceed? What's the, let's say a hypothetical, not to create bad juju or anything, but let's say, the unexpected happens. One of the people can't show up because family emergency. What next steps do you have to take to fill that spot?
Yeah, it's a lot of quick thinking, and sometimes, we have some really incredible speakers, and sometimes those spots can't necessarily be filled. Mm-hmm. So it's just pivoting to what the next best option would be, and then just finding a happy medium for all parties involved.
Genius.
It's just it's a kind of on the fly, and knock on wood, typically that stuff doesn't really happen because we do have some really incredible partners. Mm-hmm. But I'd say, if anything, if something happens, then it's just key takeaways for the next time around, and really making sure we can prepare for any backups and plan B and C if needed.
Now I see why at one point, Sydney, you could have been a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah. And it's you're not even trying. It's second nature at this point.
Sometimes I just want to make sure that whatever we do and whatever I do, just because I genuinely, not being cheesy, appreciate and love my job so much, that I am the best representation that I could be for the role that I'm in.
Yeah, well, I want you as my attorney.
Oh, thank you.
Would you ever consider doing that?
No,
again?
Because of the schooling.
Yeah, the bar and all that.
That's too intense at this stage of life, I think.
Yeah. And Hannah, without this career, we already know you'd be pilot Hannah, right?
Or influencer Hannah.
It's either or. It's either pilot or influencer.
Or how about a influencer pilot?
Oh my gosh.
That would be the new plateau that would be created by you. It would be a new sleigh level. Right?
Next level. Yeah, no, it really would.
Sydney, with the experience that you had in the airplane when you're flying over the French Alps, can you reiterate? You don't have to go through the whole thing. Just paraphrase for us, but do it in an ASMR voice.
I've never done an ASMR
Well, you
voice.
did touch on it on your podcast when you were talking about you. I think it was one of you. You both one of.
Oh, that was me.
That was you.
Yeah, I
Well,
was
then
like, I am
maybe.
not the ASMR queen here.
Well, then maybe Hannah, you
Yes.
you do it for Sydney in the ASMR.
I tell your story.
Yeah, and you can even
Okay.
throw in some extras just to make it. Because
Like, do
I'm
need
gonna
some nails.
I'm gonna add some sound design to this. So this
Okay.
is
Well,
Okay.
and you need like the whole thing. So I don't know if you can hear that.
yeah. Go. You could take off the popper stopper.
Okay.
Okay. The popper stopper is off. Now we have raw mic. Okay. That's her clicking her nails.
That's supposed to be the snow of the French Alps.
Probably be hitting faster. Go faster. Yeah. Okay. It's hitting the window in the
Even
plane.
though it's the dead of summer.
Okay. But this is.
But
this
that's the
is-
visual, okay?
Yeah. Suspension of disbelief.
Correct.
Here we go.
So I'm Hannah speaking for Sydney.
Yeah.
So this
As
is Sydney
in
starting
ASMR whisper.
It's like a
in
read.
ASMR.
Okay, here we go. This is an ASMR podcast. exclusive.
It's so funny because this story is so scary.
Yeah, this is what makes it so good. See? Yeah. Here we go.
Okay. On a cold, cold summer night. Warning, shoot. Already messed it up.
That's okay.
I was flying from. Actually, I don't even know where exactly was it. It was France.
Say we're
to-
flying over the French Alps.
Okay. I was flying over the French Alps, trying to get home to the United States of America. In mid-flight, I felt the most wretched, terrifying turbulence of my entire life. The plane was shaking side to side.
Up and down.
I flew out of my chair.
You weren't buckled in.
I literally flew, hit the ceiling, and went unconscious.
Wow.
I thought my life was going to end.
And then?
And then the turbulence stopped. And I found myself on the ground, safely landed at the airport. Shortly after that, I was back in the United States of America.
Hannah Miller Jager on the ASMR Sketcho Show podcast.
I honestly don't even know
exclusive.
how good that sounds.
It's going to sound great.
I wanted to
in
whisper,
post.
but I don't even know if
You
you can
did.
hear that.
You did a whisper. You did more of a whisper at the end, which was really good. But
Okay,
the
good.
whole thing was ASMR-esque.
Okay,
And
good.
with the proper sound design and post, it's going to sound the one too much good.
Oh, perfect.
All
Did
right.
I represent the story okay?
That was terrifying, and I hope to never experience that.
It sounded like a movie,
It did.
like an ASMR short movie. Yeah, very well done.
Thank
Hannah.
you. Thank you.
I think your ASMR skills can take you places.
Oh, great. Good to know.
Only whispers. Where's that side at? Instead of OnlyFans, we should be like Only Whispers. Yeah.
Wait, that's a good TikTok handle or something.
Right?
I was going to say, our new business, Sydney.
Oh my god.
Because I heard you
We're
guys
always
do
trying to start a business.
the Only Pause, which was a good idea for
Yes.
dogs. Only Pause.
Oh.
Yeah, you guys came up with that. You don't even know how many
I'm like,
ideas you're
what?
spewing out on
That
your
sounds like a
episode.
Sydney thing.
That was
Right.
something that I did see, and I do think Mona should start one. Yeah,
Yeah, somebody already took the Only Pause.
she's gotta sell those little Frito toes, you know.
Yeah, Only Whispers is the new handle. Okay, but yeah, going back to the traveling thing, I like this traveling topic just because it is something just like farting. Everybody experiences it at least once or twice in their life. Usually, most people do. I know there's some people that have never been on a plane in their life and they refuse to be on a plane. However, everybody knows what it is. And when you were talking about Hannah, when you were talking about pilots sitting with the general crowd in the cabin, that it calms you. If that
Yes.
pilot is in the seating and you see the pilot's calm, then you're calm. And I relate to that, well, I guess to a certain degree, but it also reminds me of when Dave Chappelle years and years ago had a stand-up special, and he talked about something similar, but he related it to Trump, where like Trump was talking and he said, like, Trump's like, if you only knew how many things they told me, you'd be scared too, or something like that. Like all the secrets, the American presidential secrets that they get let in when they become president. If you only knew what I know, you'd be terrified. And when Chappelle saw that, he was like, and then his lips started sweating. He's like, it's like when you're on a plane. This is Chappelle talking. When you're on a plane and there's turbulence, but the flight attendant's calm, maybe not the pilot, but the flight attendant. If she or he is calm, then I'm calm. But if her lips started sweating...
I watched Donald Trump in a press conference, and this motherfucker had all the media gathered, and this nigga literally asked the media to their face to stop finding shit out. I was like, yo, this motherfucker is bugging. And then, I'm not even making this up, his lips started sweating. His lips. Have you ever seen a motherfucker's lip sweat? What the fuck's wrong with this nigga's lips? It's like if you're on a plane, right? You ever been on a plane? I get scared to fly. I do it all the time. I be scared on there. And sometimes the plane will hit turbulence. And then I get nervous. But I always look at the flight attendant, and she looks calm, and it makes me feel calm. But if that bitch's lips were sweating, it's terrifying. Like, yo, nigga, why are your lips sweating? What do you know?
Then obviously there's the joke, and it ties right in with have you... I guess you have, right? You said that the pilot was sitting near you and you looked and you were studying him and you were calm, right? Were you experiencing something wild in that plane? Tell me about it. Because what's this pilot thing? Where did you come up with that? How did you come up with that?
I didn't really. I think it's just placebo, you know? Like, in my mind, if I see a pilot who does this, who's in a plane for a living, and we're going through turbulence...
Yeah.
My thought process is if he looks concerned, like, I'm going to have to get into the cockpit.
Like his lips are sweating.
Lips are sweating. I got to get into the cockpit and take over this plane because I think we're about to go down.
Right.
You can sense that, right?
Yeah.
With people. So if he's not doing that, I think we're fine. I think we're okay.
It's like when a paramedic or an EMT, I guess they're like the same thing. If they give that other EMT a look like, he doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And you see that look, that's bad, right? That's kind of the same thing I imagine in my head when you see, because I've been on planes where my sister was a flight attendant. She was supposed to be on one of the planes that happened on 9/11, but she just so happened to take that week off. Isn't that crazy? Yeah,
that's crazy.
Right. And she knew people that she worked with that were on that flight, or one of the, she worked for United Airlines, which I believe was the second plane that hit, if I'm not mistaken.
That's awful.
Yeah, but didn't mean to get morbid, but it is fun fact, I suppose, right?
That's terrifying.
All right, let's move away from the pilot thing and all that stuff. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for doing the ASMR thing. That was
anytime.
Fun. I know you guys got to go pretty soon, so I'm gonna wheel this along as fast as possible. Okay. This is something I like to do that I took from Big Boy. He has his famous raft question where he asks guests, if you were on a raft and it was sinking, and there was two people on the raft with you, which of these two people would you save and which would you let drown? You can only save one, right? I'm going to flip it, though. I'm flipping this question. This is in a direct rip. It's a remix, okay?
Okay.
My thing is I love zombies. I'm a zombie fan. Zombie aficionado. Seen all the Walking Dead stuff. Everything you can imagine zombie, I've seen it. More than once. My question to you, Busy Babes, Hannah and Sid, and we'll start with Hannah. Okay.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Excellent.
There's a zombie outbreak. And people are turning into zombies left and right. People are biting each other. It's like World War Z out there, okay? Except there's no Brad Pitt to save you. And Hannah, you've realized that Sydney has been bitten. And your bestie, Annabelle Hooper, has been bitten. However, the plot thickens. There's only one hypo syringe to cure. Which of the two people do you save and which do you let turn
I don't like that question.
into a zombie?
I think, well, actually, the first thing that came to my head is if it's a full syringe, I'd give like half and half.
Can't do the halfers. Got to do the full. And it's just hypothetical. This is just for fun. Okay? Who would you save and who would you let turn?
I don't like this question.
Not too many people do.
I think I just have to let them both die.
Wow.
I mean, both turn.
And you're going to keep the hypo syringe for yourself? Or what do you keep it for later or what? What's the story behind that?
Okay, if we're gonna turn it into a story, I probably would just keep it
Nice.
for later. And you never know because Simon's not in this story.
That's right. He's not. He could probably even take it and get it manufactured to make more hypos. You can get the serum.
It's possible that they both turn, and then that serum actually, even when they turn, it can cure both of them, but I need to get more.
Right. You got to create more of it. All right. Well, that's a twist that has never been said on this podcast.
There you go.
Zombie question. Sydney, the same question to you. Do you want me to reenact the whole thing, or can you just answer the question? I can kind of give you a piece of it. Zombie outbreak. Everybody's turning. People are getting bitten left and right, and I'm going to give you two people. And now, I don't really know your bestie outside of Hannah, your counterpart. And I know you guys are in a way your own besties, but you have personal besties, right? Obviously, Hannah has Annabelle. And I don't know who you are, but I went through your Instagram and I tried to find, so tell me if I'm close to this, okay? I just put somebody's name in there that I found from
I have a feeling who I know.
It's not Parker, though.
No, I know.
Okay. So, same thing happens. Sydney, now it's your turn. No! Two people have been bitten, and you only have one hypo syringe. And of course, one of those people is Hannah, your counterpart, and the other is this woman named Morgan I found on your Instagram.
What?
Yeah, can I pull up the Instagram?
Yeah, wait.
Okay, we don't know who Morgan is right off top, huh?
No, I thought you were going to pull Tiffany, my college roommate.
Okay, well, we can do Tiffany, but let's see. Let's just clarify who Morgan is. I want to make sure. Let's see. Where is it? Hold on, stand by. This lady right here.
Oh, no!
Is that Morgan? I don't know if that's Morgan. It just popped up.
It is Morgan.
That's Morgan, right?
Oh,
What's her
that's
name?
funny.
Morgan
Morgan and
McDelney.
Ellie. Morgan and Ellie Morgan.
Yeah. So
I had a different Morgan in my head when you said Morgan, so I was totally thrown.
Not Morgan from here, from the Woody Show. Not Morgan Cook, but...
You should do Tiffany, though.
Yeah, let's do Tiffany.
Tiff's a good one, too.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. Okay, so Hannah's been bitten, and not Morgan, but Tiffany has been bitten. Who do you save, and who do you let turn?
This is an excellent question, and I prepared for it while Hannah was deciding whether or not I was going to die. I would have them bite me, and then we live our bestie zombie lives together.
Oh! So
that's good.
The hypo syringe has been discarded.
I give it to someone else who's going to save the world.
A passerby.
Exactly. And then we have our little bestie zombie crew.
Wow.
And we just do the same thing as zombies.
That's good.
That is such a great answer.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's the greatest answer, but it's the greatest answer to maintain your relationships. Again, Sydney with the corporate eloquent answer.
It's actually I got the inspiration from Twilight.
Really?
Yeah, we could all be vampires.
What happened in there?
Yeah.
So Bella was a human and Edward was a vampire. And the only way to make her a vampire was to bite her, but he could possibly kill her. But instead, because she was pregnant with the vampire baby and the vampire was half vampire and half human, in order for her to give birth and live, she had to be a vampire, I think, right?
Same plot.
Same plot.
Interesting.
So he almost killed her to save her to become a vampire. So then she had immortality.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to watch that again.
That was good.
I don't remember that.
Thank you. I pulled that from
Can I change my answer to that?
No,
Because
you may not. You let us die.
No, it was similar.
She slayed you.
She chose life. She didn't want to be besties in the zombie world. It's fine.
That's all right. It's not real.
Similar but different.
But I do know that this question has started arguments outside of this podcast in real life.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know to what degree and how bad it was, but I kind of like that because it's such a silly hypothetical. I mean, not saying a zombie, apocalypse couldn't happen, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. And besides, it kind of already did happen with COVID, and all that happened was people hoarded all the toilet paper. That's like the worst of it. Obviously, some people died, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When it came to everyday life, it was like you couldn't find toilet paper or hand sanitizer anymore. That was like the worst of it, and we were all at home. But yeah, I like the zombie answers you guys gave.
Thank you.
There is no wrong answer, okay? It's just for fun.
Except for you can't split the syringe.
You can't, well, that's because you want to make someone decide, and you decided to let them both go.
In hopes that I can get more syringes.
I think you guys
There's always that chance.
After this podcast, and then between this podcast and your guys' Busy Babes next podcast, you can ponder on it and then follow up and see what happens. See if you guys talk about it again. I don't know. Maybe it's not worth revisiting though, right? I don't know. All right. I want to stop real quick. Stop for a commercial break. I'm just kidding. I don't have any commercials.
Oh, I was like, oh, sketch, go off.
No,
It's
this is a segment I'm going to do because I have to monetize my own money, and I'm going to use this podcast to do so. And because it's my podcast, I can do whatever the hell I want. And I've never done this before, but I have used both of you for voiceover listener audio. And in this little segment, which is also can be content, but it's also going to be turned into actual imaging for radio that I can live off of. What I'm going to ask you both is, since Hannah, you're more of the top 40, you're a Swiftie, you know, most of like the kids, you're like both P1 demographic, but I know Sydney's more of a country gal. And Hannah, you're obviously more of the top 40 persona, right? So we'll start with, who wants to go first, Sydney or Hannah?
I feel like I went first last time.
So we'll start with Sid.
Okay.
These are just listener audio questions, kind of hot takes, and nobody else talks. Only you, Sydney. I'm going to shut up, and I'm just going to shoot off a couple of artist names that are on the rise right now on these country charts. And you could, if you don't know one of them, you could skip it, but I doubt that. You know most of these artists. Okay, the big artist right now, obviously, with the biggest song in the country realm, is Shaboozey. How do you feel about Shaboozey? What's your take on a bar song, Tipsy?
I think it's one of the newer and more trendy and catchy country songs that has really just taken off, especially with the elderly generation and the younger generation. It's a throwback. Not the elderly.
Oh
not
my
the
God.
elderly.
She looked right at me when she said that. She looked right at me.
I was trying to think.
Like, define elderly.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not.
Do you see she's pointing at me, Hannah?
The both of it.
No, I'm just kidding. So do me a favor. Just
Oh
go
my gosh.
Shaboozey and just say his name real quick, just so I have that.
Shaboozey.
Perfect. All right. Now, here's another one. Let's go back. Let's go down the list here that's on the come up. Who's got the most percentages here? Luke Bryan. I'm just going to name some off, and then you tell me which one you want to talk about. Luke Bryan, Jelly Roll, or Thomas. No. Or I guess Post Malone, who's really...
Posty, baby.
Love a good Posty.
Go ahead. Post Malone.
Posty is like really in his country era, and I'm living for him to do this. He seems so chill, such a vibe, and the music that he's coming out with really speaks to the soul.
Brilliant. Let's see, who else is on here? What's your take on Morgan Wallen, the guy who's throwing stuff out of balconies but topping the charts?
The balconies. Not the chair.
Did he throw a chair off? Is that what he
it was
did?
it was a chair.
Out of a balcony, right?
Yeah, I was gonna.
He was drunk, right?
I don't know.
I think, well, what Simon likes country.
This is Hannah talking. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, Hannah speaking. So Simon was telling me it was because I think he found out his ex-girlfriend was engaged or something like that, and it really sent him over. And he was drunk, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good song, though. That's a good premise for a song right there, man. Come on.
Sent him right over the chair over the rooftop.
Over the edge, literally.
Yeah, onto somebody's head down below.
It's awful.
Did he hit anybody? No.
I
don't think so.
I felt
I can't
close
remember.
to, which is like kind of an accomplishment for like downtown Nashville.
Right. That's
So-
where it happened, downtown Nashville, and he was in the middle of the night, throws it over the edge or something, and then nobody gets hit, thank God.
No, but I was thinking, I'm like, I feel like Morgan Wallen really made like pop country. Like he really kind of kicked it off, and
Like he crossed over?
Yeah, he kind of made that jump, and then he also looks really good with the mullet.
Oh, you like the mullet. Are you a mullet fan?
I mean, I feel like because my boyfriend has one from time to time, I have to be.
Parker got a mullet?
Parker does like to, flirt with the mullet idea every once in a while.
That is crazy. You are the first person to acknowledge the good-looking mullet on your significant other. I've never even heard of a concept like that.
He's got like curls. Like
Yeah?
Parker has like these nice curls that kind of come out.
Then he
cute.
rocks it with the beard, or just like a 5 o'clock shadow, or is it just
He's a
like-
mustache.
mustache?
It's like a clean shave. Not like a clean shave, but what's like stubble? Like it's like
stubble.
organized stubble.
Yeah, that's
I don't know how to explain it.
wow. Okay, all right. Let's give one more artist
Sorry.
on the country side, and then we're gonna move on to Hannah.
Okay.
Are you familiar, Sydney, with Kelsey Hart?
Why does that sound familiar, but I can't
Familiar,
picture it?
yeah.
Okay, what about Kenny Chesney?
Kenny Chesney, he's like ultimate lake music, like ultimate river music. He's just summertime fine.
That's it?
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
I'm sorry.
No worries. What about, okay, here's a crossover, and we're going to end on this for country. Kane Brown and Marshmello. What's your take on Marshmello venturing like Avicii did at one point? I feel like Avicii was one of the first, if not the first, to really take EDM and country and make it its own thing. What say you, Sydney Nowak?
I think EDM is one of the best things to come out of this generation.
Did you say EDM?
Absolutely.
What is EDM? Uh-oh.
It's like country EDM mixes. Like when they do collabs,
Right.
there's like a whole genre. You can like look it up. It's called EDM. And so instead of just saying, EDM and like yeehaw music, EDM.
Like yeehaw!
Exactly.
EDM.
EDM.
I wonder if Kanye is going to get offended by that because it's, YADM.
I don't know.
Oh,
well,
that's
you
different.
gotta emphasize the E.
He's
Yeah.
like way too similar.
Yeah, way too similar. All right. That's good. I like that. Okay. Now, Hannah Jaeger. I was going to say Jaeger again. Hannah, give me some takes on, let's see these artists real quick. This is going to be, obviously, right now, one of the biggest pop female artists on the planet, aside from Swift, is...
Oh, I was like, Taylor Swift, let's go.
Well, we're going to get to her in a second.
Okay.
But that's just a given.
Yeah,
That's just a given.
It is a given.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh my gosh.
Say her name, though, for me.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I am so impressed with her. The fact that she came out with Espresso and Please, 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 back to back, both hits. I mean, her writing and the catchiness of her songs are just so unique and so fun. And it really plays into the TikTok trends, which is impressive because that's hard to do. A song goes viral when it's going viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
And she's been able to master that. So I just love her look. I love her sound. All the vibes. Very good.
I do think that Sabrina Carpenter has this very vintage 80s type of look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain because I was a kid in the 80s and seeing posters in the 80s hung up and taped to walls reminds me of that Sabrina Carpenter look. It's not overly sexy. It's like vintage sexy. It's hard to explain.
She's classy, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Same. Okay. Dua Lipa, any thoughts on Dua?
I like Dua. She has some really catchy hits. Is she my favorite pop artist? I would say, I don't know. I don't know. I go back and forth with her. That's really all I have to say about her.
Are you a
honestly.
fan of Tommy Richmond? We're going to skip
Pass.
Tommy. Let's skip Tommy. Let's go. I just got to give it like one or two more. Charlie XCX with her big brat thing happening right
Brat
now.
Summer, baby. Let's go.
What's your take on Charlie XCX? 360 is a great song. What's just overall Charlie XCX?
I've liked Charlie XCX when there's a song that she sings and it's a Boom Boom Clap and it's in The Fault in Our Stars. It's a very sad movie. But I initially heard it in that movie and I'm like, oh, I love this beat. It's so good. It speaks to me. Yeah. And so and she's just she's great. She has always a really catchy beat and I love that.
Brilliant. Love it. Couple more here. Actually just one more. Let's see. I'm trying to get the newer people. I think that's enough for them. We already did Charlie. Let's go to Taylor then. Taylor Swift right now, and the biggest song that's on the charts, even though we've already heard this song a gajillion times, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart is like the biggest track right now.
Oh my gosh, my theme song.
So Taylor Swift, give me the name, the artist name, and then whatever you want to say.
Taylor Swift. Gosh, I could cry. No, I love and adore her so much. I'm going to keep it brief because I really could talk about her forever. I think she's just so masterful in her writing. I mean, her writing is genius. And the fact that she's done a full tour, she's still on tour, and put together an entire album and then incorporated the album into the tour is just, it's unheard of. I don't really know a lot of artists who have done that and have done it so well. She's genuinely a genius, and it's just so impressive to watch and how she just carries herself and everything. I love it.
How many times did you go to the Eras tour? Did you saw it?
I went twice.
Saw it twice live, right? In LA?
Right, yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you see the movie? when it came out on Disney.
Yes, I
right?
saw it in theaters. Yeah.
I felt like once the movie popped off, by then the new album was already out, and I was like, these songs are old now.
I know. That's the old Eras tour.
Right.
We're in the new era.
Yeah, the new era. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
I know.
All right, so that was great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. And then let's go ahead and I want to kind of close it out. We're already at almost an hour and 20 minutes, so I know you guys have to go, but we are beating traffic a little bit right now, right? Because you both have to drive kind of far, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just take a look at my notes here because I don't want to skip over anything. Oh, you talked about the Cannes Festival. We did the birthday thing. We did the career thing. I'm just going to go to this, and we can just end it on this and wrap it up. And it really goes back to you two. Do you, either Hannah or Sid, a.k.a. BusyBabes, a.k.a. Slay Sisters, have any questions for the old Omatic over here?
Oh. I have one.
Go ahead.
What has been, given you've been in this industry for a little longer than we have, I would say, what has been like your top key takeaway about working and thriving in this industry with all the people you've interviewed?
Ooh. As far as podcasting?
I'd say
or
like
just in general radio?
One like good takeaway that you can really sum up that's a common thread throughout.
Wow, that's such a great question. None of my questions can match that question. That was like...
Cindy's queen of questions.
I'm telling you, wow. Okay, what's my one takeaway out of my entire radio imaging production career?
Yeah, I feel like there has to be like one standout theme that you think about, quite often.
I mean, the theme would be that like... let me just think about this real quick. I would say that the one thing that I take away mostly from my career is, this is going to sound a little cocky, but like I feel like when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, and people know that about me. Like I may like fail on what I make or execute. It may not be what that person that I'm making it for is looking for exactly, but I always come through. And I think because of my reputation for always being available or making myself available, I think that has transpired across continents. Like I get people hitting me up from like Singapore, knowing that I'm the guy to make that thing for them. And I don't know if that qualifies as a theme, but I feel like the theme of Sketch-O-Matic, the production guy, is quality, efficiency, consistency, discipline. But it wasn't always like that. It took years to get like that. The discipline part was way off. Like when I was in my blurry, drunken party days around your guys' age, right? Mm-hmm. And I had to course correct that over many, many years. But since I've been able to do that, it's only catapulted me further because now I'm so embedded with iHeart. Not saying I'm not expendable. I can get fired right now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's subject to be replaced, right? Mm-hmm. But because they trust me so much with everything that they don't even have to ask me for it. Like if somebody, and I talked about this, I think on the previous episode with Gabby Diaz, is that like if somebody passes away, right, an artist or a celebrity, they know Sketch is going to make a tribute. We don't have to ask him. It's just going to show up on our box the next morning at 5 a.m. because he's been working on it all night. That's the theme that I think that really has been taken away. And I have to attribute it all to Big Boy because obviously without him, I wouldn't be in radio. So I've taken his theme of his career and try to apply it to myself, which is just consistency and discipline, which is hard to maintain in the media entertainment world. As you both well know, you guys don't party like I did. You don't drink and you're not alcoholics. You know what I mean? Like it was hard, and radio was a lot different back then. Not saying that people didn't have discipline. It just was so much more easier accessible to go get wasted with your clients, with other DJs, with on-air personalities. People just like to party, and I just went overboard too much that I'm surprised I'm even in radio still. Like, I'm surprised I'm even here having this podcast with you right now because the shit that I did and the people I pissed off and the bridges I blew up, that's another theme I took away, is that I made so many damn mistakes that I wish I could take back. But without those struggles and all those like epic failures, I wouldn't appreciate the fortunate blessings I have today. So I guess that's kind of the theme. I don't know if that's a theme, but it's more of like a chaotic, organized confusion.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's pretty on par with what a lot of people would, assume or say, that it's just reliable, consistent, forward thinking. Like they don't have to ask you for something. You already know what they need. And like, that's a trait that I think that not everybody has. It has to be like learned and identified early. Otherwise it's like a sink or swim.
Yeah. And I do also attribute like the way of like conducting yourself to you two. Because I listen, and I really I don't just listen just to go so you guys get the number of plays up, and I'm not listening. People just play a podcast and they just have it on in the background. Like I listen and I rewind and I go, oh, that's good, and I take notes sometimes. And I don't know. There's like, I feel like you two have a lot of knowledge to share, not just being young and beautiful and all that and hip and slay and all that. It's not just that. I feel like you two have a lot to offer in the podcast world and in the corporate world, because you two are obviously living the corporate business life, traveling, working with Greg Ashlock. You guys are just like me. You're way more embedded. You're like representing, and you are the face of iHeart in so many different ways. I'm just a production guy. Nobody ever sees me. They rely on me, but I'm not the face. I don't go out and meet people and have to shake hands, and you know what I mean? It's a different beast all in itself, and I feel like you two really ride that so well, and that's why I wanted to have you both on the podcast to share your experiences and just to have you on as a duo, because BusyBabes, I feel like needs more attention, and I wanted to kind of shine light on that podcast and you two as much as I can, because you both did really help me out, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
That really means a lot. Touches my soul.
And I was going to say, without getting too cheesy into iHeart family, the way that you're saying, it's just the background, but I would say that one of our really core themes is the power of audio. So Sketch, you play such an important part of this company.
Oh, thank you.
And it's amazing that they trust you to do this stuff, because you're so good at it.
And that's a very pivotal role.
Yeah.
It's I'm truly a unique person to be in a fortunate position. And that's how I always look at it. No matter how much money I can make or how big I can possibly get. Let's say I did get more famous and stuff. I would still try to maintain that, never let it go to your head, because I feel like it's so easy when people blow up to just let it all go to their head, and then they get complacent and they don't remember the struggles, because now they're just living on cloud nine. And that's great and all, but with that kind of freedom, financial freedom and popularity, I feel comes great responsibility. And the more our podcasts get popular, I'm not saying we're going to blow up Joe Rogan style. I'm just saying the more followers you get, you got to maintain that. You got to maintain that consistency, because people do look to you for that comforting voice, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you guys are to me. And I know in some ways I'm like that to other people that I've never met that listen to my podcast, and I don't know why, but they enjoy it. And I feel a sense of responsibility for that. I'm not getting paid for this. We're not, you and I, all of us, we're not making buco bucks. We're not really making anything. But still, you have an obligation to your audience, to your crowd that do rely on that podcast. And I feel like there's a give and a take, and there is a relationship, even if you don't ever meet those supporters and fans of yours. And I think that's something that needs to be acknowledged, because it's so important to be honest, but at the same time to be consistent with what you do. And in this company, in this iHeartRadio world, consistency is key. And it's so easy to just get complacent. Just to close out, do you ever feel like you guys, either of you, get complacent? And how do you curtail that? Like, how do you manage that? Or even people around you that may get complacent within the company?
Yeah, I think it's easy to, when you've been in the industry for a while, it's easy to become complacent, and you could take for granted a lot of the opportunities and experiences that you have. I experience it, or I feel it a lot, when sometimes I'll give tours to like random people who come in here, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you work here. This is so cool!" Like, and then they're just gobsmacked, and they're in awe, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, like, you're right." And that's always a good reminder to me how special it is to be working in this kind of environment. Or when I sit in on like Big Boy,
Right.
and I recently Big Boy and Doc Winter spoke to a panel of kids, high school students. I don't know if you listened to that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and it was so moving.
Yeah.
Hearing them talk about their experience, and it just makes you appreciate the industry that you work in.
Right. It humbles you.
And it humbles you.
Does,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you realize the vast scale of how many people are tuning in, like you said, Sydney, that audio is important. What did you say? How did you word it? That audio is
The power of audio.
the power of audio, and it's true. It's very true how audio can unite or just bring people peace and comfort and sense. It's almost like watching a TV show that you've already seen, which I talk a lot about on this on my podcast. Is I rewatch a lot of stuff from a certain time period that now that I'm an older man, that I understand it more because I'm just a big dummy, you know. But when I'm rewatching Lost, for example, and I rewatch that, and I'm just like, oh, you know, and I appreciate different aspects that I never noticed before. I feel like audio does the same for people that rewatching The Sopranos or rewatching Dexter, or any of those shows that I like, brings me comfort. I feel like this audio podcast does bring people comfort. At least I hope it does. If not, at least it brings them a smile and chuckle when we're doing some ASMR style shit. You know what I mean? Hannah and Sid, I can keep going with you forever. I love talking radio, talking shop with you, and just talking about life and the prospect of starting a family, your travel experiences. It's been really enlightening and thrilling to have you both on, and thank you for making the time to be on the Sketch Show podcast.
Well, thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you for having
So
us.
much fun.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Sketch.
All love, Hannah and Sid. Make sure you check out Busy Babes podcast on iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Apple, this, that, the third. You can catch them everywhere. Give out your social IGs and the Busy Babes IG.
Well, on Instagram, it's BusyBabes, one word, _. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok, same username. And then my personal IG, it's confusing because people here know me as Hannah Miller, but my legal married name is Hannah Jager, so it's Hannah G. Jager.
Hannah G.
No
Jager.
little dots over
Right.
over the A. It's just
Hannah G.
Hannah G. Anna Grace.
Got
That's what
it.
it stands for. But yeah.
Sydney?
My Instagram, because I think that's all I have at this point. My Instagram is just my name, no spaces, Sydney Nowak. I mean, it's pronounced Novak,
Right.
but the Nowak sometimes throws people.
Yeah, that did for me. I did too. I was all, Sydney Nowak? And you're all, no, Novak.
It is
Yeah.
Novak, but it's so much easier to just say Nowak.
Yeah, that's how it's spelled out.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay,
you.
Once again, thanks so much for making time for me, and hopefully get to have you guys on again once Hannah has baby
my gosh.
Jager.
I know.
One day.
Everyone calm down.
And then Sydney's going to be getting married soon. I want you back on the pod for the exclusive.
I will absolutely come back for that.
There it is. Hannah and Sid, Busy Babes. Much love and respect, you two.
Aw, it was so fun.
Thank you.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
The Sketch-O-Matic Show.
Hey, too much information and shit, man.
Shut your mouth, essay!
Okay, bye.
I think Dickie's kind of cute, though.
Dickie is good.
Dickie's cute.
Like
Yeah.
Lil Dicky. Like Dave Bird, you know, the
Oh,
rapper
yes.
with the show, right?
Yeah.
I did like that show.
That's a good one.
Show.
Dickie Jager. What?
Oh, his nickname could be DJ.
That we're getting somewhere now,
Okay.
ladies.
We're cooking.
Yeah.